6:37 p.m. on Thursday, September 15, 2016. I want to thank Mayor Chargilov for making the facility available to us tonight, and also Senator Morrison for joining us this evening. I understand Senator Torres was here earlier, but I guess she was coming down pretty quick with something. Yeah. So let me just go through some of these preliminaries, and then I'm going to ask the mayor to give his opening remarks and provide his testimony on the two bills. And after everyone who has signed up gives their testimony, then I'm sure we'll have time and we can have some Q&A, and you can just ask questions from where you're sitting. Notice of the public hearings was provided to the general public, senators and stakeholders, and the local media, and we have met the requirements of the Open Government Law. The committee will continue to receive written testimony until 4 p.m. on Monday, September 26th. Please address the testimony of Senator Thomas Ada, chairperson of the Committee on Lands. This tonight is the second of 7 meetings, public hearings that will be held in the southern villages. So last night we had one in Agate, which was combined with Santa Rita. And then the next meetings we will have, next Monday we will have a meeting in Inarahan, followed on Tuesday by Talafofo, and then on Wednesday, Jotnia, and then on Thursday, Madak, and then finally on Friday the 23rd, we will have a public hearing down at Guam Legislature, where basically it's still open to the general public. So the way we've structured this tonight is that we have 2 sign-up sheets, one for the residents of Morrison, and we're going to give priority to the residents of Morrison to provide their testimony first, and then open it up to others from outside of the village to step forward and provide their testimony. The hearing that we're having tonight is on 2 bills. One is Bill 365, which really is more of a procedural sort of bill. What happens right now is when land use application comes before the Guam Land Use Commission, the developer submits their application packet, and copies are made and given to what is called the Application Review Committee, which has permanent members who are representatives of the utilities, water, power, from Public Works and other agencies on there. And they have up to about 45 days to provide their analysis of the land use application, and then provide their findings to the Guam Land Use Commission. At the same time, the public law requires that the municipal planning councils, where the land use application will happen, is required by law to conduct a public hearing so that the residents of that particular municipality will have an opportunity to air their opinions. The problem is that oftentimes the municipal planning council meetings in the villages are not informed by the findings of the applications review committee. So I guess a good example is the one that they had in Jotnia for that Pavo Bay Towers, where basically it was the developer that was there, and he was providing the information to the residents that were there. And of course, one might suggest that what was being presented was biased, and the other agencies that have provided testimonies and so far as how it would impact on the water utilities, the power, etc. We're not there. So we want to make sure that when the villages hold their meetings, there must be available first the findings of the application review committee, so that these are the findings from the various agencies. The second bill that we're going to be discussing is Bill 366. Excuse me. Bill 366, which really is a complementary to a bill that was introduced by Senator Tommy Morrison several months ago and has been passed into law, which requires that a master development plan for the South be formulated. And so that's moving along, but what this bill does, Bill 366, is it puts a moratorium on further development, actually preserves the status quo in the southern villages until this, for at least a period of 2 years, or until the master plan is completed, whichever comes first. So after 2 years, if we don't have a master plan yet, this moratorium gets lifted, and if a commercial development wants to come in and build, then there's nothing going to hold them back. The only exemption to the moratorium is, one, it will not prohibit the construction of single-family homes, and two, you have projects that have already been approved and it's currently in the mill, and things are in progress to get the construction permits and whatnot. So that's basically what's going to happen, and if Bill 366 gets passed. I want to recognize joining us tonight is Senator Morrison. Thank you, Senator, for joining us. So we have the sign-up sheets. So first of all, but before I call up the people who have signed up, I'm going to ask the mayor to go ahead and give your opening remarks, and certainly defer to you to give your testimony first.
Thank you, Senator. I was at the Legislature when these things were coming about. I came over to the Mayor's Council, and all these things that are coming about are the protection of Southern Guam, which is the part of the draw from the tourists. They don't want to go to Guam. They have that in Tokyo. This is the pristine area of our island, and the bills that you guys are introducing is for the protection. If you look at the agate and the Georgia, I believe those things were approved way back then. And now it is going in and saying it's been approved. Well, the sentiment back then may have been different from the sentiment now. And a lot of people are realizing that with progress comes a lot of problems. And with our villages down here in the south, we want to try to remain as pristine as possible. And if there's any development to be brought in, that it does not hinder the infrastructures, it doesn't overburden the infrastructures, or it changes the whole way of life in our villages. And that's why I welcome you guys. I was hopeful that more residents would be here, but all the things that you guys are doing is the empowerment of the municipal planning council, the mayor's office, so that, I hope that it's not going to be predetermined when hearings come about. It's already a done deal. But this process prevent those things, so that you got a public review to ensure that the villages are protected as far as master plans are concerned. So we don't overburden. We turn on your water as a very small trickle. You turn on your power, everybody turns on their power, big development will draw all those powers away, likewise with water. So the protection of the South is very important. Progress and improvement is inevitable. It's going to come, maybe not during my time, but at least we lay the foundation and the groundwork so that we protect the future of our villages that are the pristine villages of this island. And when any development comes about, it is the people that live in that area that will make the decision. And this is a step forward in ensuring that this ensures the people of a due process from our own villagers, the mayor and the municipal planning council, the parliament, to review what's good for the village. Of course, whoever the mayor and municipal planning council, before they make any decisions, should call a town meeting and see the consensus of the people, because not all the mayors and the municipal planning council will represent all of these, but at least have a town meeting and see what the consensus of the people then, or now, or maybe in the future. But I want to thank you guys for taking these things in the right direction and ensuring the future of the southern Guam, because only southern Guam, the northern and central master plans have been in place. We don't have any. So at least we are in the right direction, so that when the progress and improvement and developments come, we have a safeguard that ensure that we protect ourselves from overdevelopment and all that. So I want to thank you guys for bringing this matter to our municipal level. Unfortunately, we didn't have much, but hopefully people see the light and they become more involved in matters that pertain to our lives. Thank you very much.
Not a problem, Aaron. I come to learn over the years that the fact that there's just a handful of people doesn't mean the people are not interested. The fact of the matter is that there are some people that are here who probably have a voice equivalent to about 100. So the fact that they've shown up at least is a start. So thank you very much. Before we go further and I call up the people who have signed up, I would like to take just a minute and have my chief of staff just kind of go over, give an aerial overview of the municipality of Morrison here to see, what's going to be affected here in Melissa. And so, Joe, if you just briefly give us an overview.
Thank you very much.
Joe Borja is my chief of staff at the office. Joe has been dealing with land matters for the past 3 decades. He used to be the director of the Department of Land Management, Chamorro Land Trust, and all that. He decided to retire, and then I scooped him up the next day. And I'm lucky to have him on staff.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Can you stand over on the side so I'm not walking?
Yeah, thank you very much, Senator. First slide here just shows the municipal boundaries of Melissa, United, and Iran. And a lot of times when we say Morrison Village or Iran Village, sometimes people think that the area of jurisdiction for the mayor or that municipality is just the village, but really it goes by municipality. And the municipalities actually are designated by law. There's actually a legal definition on there. And last night one of the comments was why isn't Chalapalco included in this? Municipalities are actually set by law, and Senator and the committee were trying to follow Senator Morrison's public law that basically defines Southern Guam as those 7 villages. And again, they do have legal meets and boundaries, so it's not just a straight line. Where you see straight lines, it's usually straight across the property. When you see crooked lines like that, it usually means that the boundary follows the river. That's why some of these lines are nice and straight, but then when you get over here, it could be a river. Next slide, please. Again, if you remember the shape of the municipality, what this is an overlay of about 3 maps. One is an aerial satellite photograph. Another one are the municipal boundaries, which are the red lines. And as you remember, Melissa is in that shape. That's Melissa. And the green areas here in southern Guam belong to the largest landowner in southern Guam. Largest landowner being Chamorro Land Use Commission. So as you can see, Melissa is almost half Chamorro Land Trust property. Next slide, please. And then just an aerial photograph of Melissa village, not necessarily municipality. This area over here is the cemetery, the Malesso Cemetery, and then the bottom here is the Alchang Bay Marina. And then of course you have Mamoan Channel and the Morrison Pier, the church, and then road up. These were originally government subdivisions, and we're right here. Malesso, Martyrs Memorial Elementary School is right there, and again the mayor's office is right here, and right next to it is us and the Senior Citizen Center. Next slide, please. We just wanted to get some bearings. This is the sewage treatment plant. Malesso is the host community to the sewage treatment plant, which services other municipalities down here in the south. So the sewage treatment plant is here, and then what they do is they pump the sewage up to the top of the hill here, which people hardly see, and the sewage is then left to percolate and evaporate up on that high hill. The road to that passes right below here, but I venture to say that probably 5 out of 10 people pass by there and don't know that there's a big, heavy infrastructure in that area that services southern Guam, some of southern Guam. And of course you have the village coming in here. This is the area where the 2 bridges are being built, the 1-lane roads. Last week Senator met with DPW asking what the status is of that bridge and what's the completion date for it. DPW gave us a date of June 2017 for the completion of those 2 bridges. Next slide, please. Again, the Mamoan Channel, just a little bit of history on this. The military was going to build another harbor here in the area. Mamoan Channel is about 100 feet deep. It's a pretty deep channel right across here. You can easily swim across, and right below is about 100 feet of water. And again, this is the pier that was recently repaired. And then you have in the center, Morrison Martyr Memorial Elementary School. And then this is the land for the landless subdivision in Piga. Next slide, please. Again, this is from the pier, the Ferros area, Sus Garrido's house, and then the convento, the Campana, and then all the way down to Alchang Bay. Now, Alchang Bay at one time was a development of sorts, but not the development that you would think of. But there is a channel that goes in here that provides access. The military after the war wanted to connect this channel here so that ships could come in here, offload, come out, and go on their merry way. Next one, please. This is just a map subdivision of the land for the landless subdivision, the Piga subdivision. As you can see, all the lots have been surveyed, paved streets, and some infrastructure, maybe not in all of the areas, but this is a potential for a development here down south, which is the land for the landless subdivision. And I mentioned specifically land for the landless subdivision because originally this subdivision was under the land for the landless program. You pay $2,500. You can sign a contract for 10 years, $250 a year, and the land's yours. For those of you that are familiar with Malesso, the view up here is probably equal to Monterey or Carmel by the sea in the States. So this is a potential development that could happen in here if the infrastructure is provided. As you can see, there's only, I believe, less than 12 houses built on this subdivision, beautiful subdivision. Next slide, please. These are the Malesso uplands. Of course, you have Malesso Village, which is really built alongside both sides of Route 4, but Malesso also is municipalities also up here. These, of course, the lighter color are the ridges, and the darker colors are the valleys. Water flows down in there, and that's why it's pretty much green. Again, this is Malesso uplands. Pete, next one. And some are pictures of the uplands, and sometimes you have areas like this where it accidentally catches on fire. That's why that's brown. and then of course the green areas that we see. Next one, please. And I think that's it, Senator. A slight thing about Molesto is that Molesto, although being down south, it's also a host community for one of the most sought after destination in Guam, which is Cocos Island. It's also the host community for the marine preserve. The tulay that's being caught now probably got bored in the reserve. And as the mayor informed us tonight, there's going to be another meeting next month. The lagoon is contaminated with PCB. What level, the toxicity, that's I guess the object of the next meeting. So you do have that problem down there. Now the PCB was not as a result of commercial development. They suspect it was left over from the Coast Guard station in Cocos Island. There used to be a Coast Guard station. It's called a low-rank station, long-range radar or something. It's since been closed down. 1/4 of Cocos Island now belongs to the government of Guam. The other 3/4, I don't know who belongs. It originally belonged to the Rothschild in France family, and then it's passed down now to, I don't know. But this is what we have from Molesto, beautiful community.
Thank you very much. So we're going to go ahead and I'll call up the resident of Molesto who have signed up. First one is Daniel Kinata. Sir, come on up, please. The other one is Catherine Regis. Were you going to give oral testimony? Okay. Then Johnny Regis. You signed up. Did you want to give oral testimony? Okay. All right. When Mr. Kanata is done and you decide you want to step forward, you certainly welcome. Mr. Kanata.
Hi, good evening, Senator. I agree with what Senator Morrison and yourself is apparently doing to control the development of Guam. I think 18-story buildings are not going to make it beautiful down in the south anymore if we allow it to happen. I mean, look at Sete Bay. Apparently there's big investors in Sete Bay right now, but they haven't done anything yet. But if we can control it, at least we can, determine what we put here, what can help the people and what doesn't affect them. I'm here today because I got some commercial land right now. Not a huge piece of, but I was planning on putting up like 4-unit apartments. But I was just reading this and it apparently affects that portion of, building. And I was planning on doing it next year because of my mortgage being freed and all that, right? But apparently I have to wait like 2 more years to do that. I'm kind of concerned, does that really, I can understand the big developments, but a 2-unit, 4-unit apartment, I don't think that, as far as a moratorium because a single dwelling, you can still build. But why build a single development, single unit in a commercial property? It's kind of like not.
Well, just to answer that question quickly, there is a section 3 in the bill. The title of it is Variances from the Moratorium, and the bill recognizes that one size does not fit all. There may be circumstances where the landowner may file for relief from this moratorium, and in that case, then you'll have to go through the process, but it's going to be a laborious process of going through the Land Use Commission and
It'll probably be the 2 years.
well, not necessarily, but it'll probably be close to it. Yeah, but it does provide for that variance as a relief valve. Yeah, so there may be circumstances that would warrant that. Okay.
And then the other one, the public hearing, I agree with it. It's a good step forward. I mean, a lot of people like to talk, but they don't like to come to the meetings. But that's why there's like the mayor. Even myself, when we go out, we kind of like get their input to as to what's going on. Because we all have our ways of getting information, and Facebook is, number one. Let people know what happened the night or that morning, just that morning, just through Facebook. So it's a lot of information that passes out. I agree with the development master plan down south. I hope it goes through and we can abide by it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. King. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to address the concerns of how long the master plan will take, in the guidelines, it's very clear that once the task force convenes, that from the commencement of that process, they will have to complete the master plan within a year. So, our goal is to very soon convene that task force. The mayor was president of one of the preliminary meetings. So our goal is working with these regulatory agencies to soon put out the schedule and start the process. So I just want to make it very clear. I know the moratoria calls for 2 years, but the master plan, from the convening of the task force, we have a year to provide the plan.
Can I add something, Mr. Chairman? As far as the utilities for landowners, down south, you guys are trying to avoid the big developers. How about if we can support the local landowners? I know a lot of people that own land that want to build, but because utilities are just so expensive, they end up not building. How many people do have 30,000 off the bat, aside from getting the mortgage? So they end up not building their land. They want to have a land, but I was kind of thinking, for all these qualifying certificates that people apply for, maybe 25% can be put into a fund that can help these landowners, with utility connections. They want to build. There's a lot of people that want to build, but they just like Tigua, Yeah, most of the utilities are in, but just to connect, you're going to spend 10 grand just to put it, to the sewer line, even if it's right there in front of your house, the water lines and all that. But that was just a suggestion that, maybe we can help the landowners while they're doing the master plan,
One of the things that has been done by the utilities is that if the initial landowner lays let's say the water line in, before the law allows that if anybody hooks into that within 5 years, they have to pay in their fair share of that cost. That law has been changed, and now it's 15 years. Because basically what the other landowners were doing was they just sat back for 5 years and then could hook up for free. But now that law has been changed, and it's now up to 15 years that people will have to pitch in and basically will be credited to your account or the account of that particular customer.
Okay, thanks.
All right. The last resident that signed up is Mr. Guy Parody?
Yeah, Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
Sure.
I've been a resident down south for 17 years, and then I'm Guam for about 28 years. I have a property in Guam, and I have an investment property in Melissa. Currently, we're underway with a rather costly archaeological survey because we're in a historic preservation area. And so it has a little concern to me as an investor for building a single-family home. Are there going to be hurdles that I'm going to have to get by for utilities and other things while the study is taking place? Because when I go through the grading and filling permits that I'm doing right now, and I complete my survey, I would just like to be able to know that my investment was done successfully, and I'm not going to have any hurdles. We're just trying to get applications done for a tie-in to public sewer, tie-in to public utilities, and eventually my so it would be a little bit, be jumping the gun until my archaeological survey is done correctly and everything's been approved by HBO. So once everything's approved, of course the process starts for applying for water and everything. But my question is, are you going to be putting a halt to tie-ins of public utilities for single-family homes while the study is being constructed?
Well, as the way the bill is structured is that basically, first of all, just a blanket hiatus on the issuance of building permits for everything other than single-family home. So if you get a building permit to be able to build a single-family home, then of course the hookups and whatever else studies come with it will have to go along with that.
Okay, that's all. That would answer my question.
Yeah.
And I have something else, and I brought it up to Senator Tommy Morrison, that has me concerned as a resident down south, in not only Pneumatic, but in the future in Morrison, is there is and I may not have this completely correct, but when I built my home in Pneumatic, there were a few hurdles that I had with DPW encroachments that were put in place from an old highway plan in order to obtain federal funding, and it was for a 4-lane highway that was going to go through Pneumatic, through Molesso, and I don't know if it goes all the way to Naranja. Now, they left this in the highway plan, and it's supposed to be there, I think, all the way up into 2027. I would like to see part of the master plan have that 4-lane highway removed, completely removed. I mean, if we want to keep our villages quaint, we want to keep the traffic down to a low speed, nobody's going to build a 4-lane highway going to a hand turn in Pneumatic where the mobile truck overturned. Nobody's going to move San Dionisio Church to build a 4-lane highway, and certainly nobody in Morrison would want to see a 4-lane highway going through the middle of the village. And if you're putting a plan together, why can't somebody speak up and say, hey, can we have this finally removed and give that 10-foot encroachment back for all the residents that deserve it?
And apparently, where you're at, that's not the only place where that exists. I know that I live in Manilo, and where Route 10 is now is actually supposed to be on the other side of where I live. And it's
Right.
real wide, right? So what we were able to do was we went to Department of Land Management, I believe it was. And I think probably the best guy that could answer that is afterwards here. You get with Mr. Borja, and he could probably guide you through as to how you begin that process of getting that variance to, not...
Yeah, I mean, it would simply just have to be removed from the books in highway plan, and so that would have to be done internally. It seems like nobody wants to go in that direction because it's too much work. That's my take on it, and I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to Carl Dominguez about it. I've talked to the new director of DPW about it, and it's almost a gesture to them that they think it's almost laughable because it's never going to happen. So if it is at that point, why don't we have it just removed and basically everybody gets back their encroachment?
And you raise a very valid point. And we'll know that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that's the last of the Morrison residents that have signed up. Mr. Regis? Mr. Regis? You gonna care to come up and make some comments? That's why we're here, to hear from you.
Good evening, Senators. I was going to touch on that subject with the master plan development for the South, and I wanted to find out whether or not there will be a public hearing for the master plan, because there are some residents down there that have lost some properties with this master plan. And so I just wanted to know whether we're going to get that opportunity to speak up once the master plan will be passed.
So the law actually requires all master plans. There's a certain process. Once a master plan is done, it will undergo public hearings that will be conducted by the executive branch. And then when they are satisfied with all the inputs and have made the necessary adjustments to the master plan, gets sent to the legislature, and the legislature will have to approve that master plan. When it comes to the legislature, then we will again have another public hearing, and so it's going to go through a lot of vetting before it finally gets finalized. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. This gentleman had you're really welcome to step up to the table and ask your question.
My name is John Healy. I've been a resident of Morrison for about 10 years. I own several properties in the village. Each of my properties, 5.5 acres on the hillside, which I intended to develop someday. Not a hotel, but certainly multiple family dwellings, and they are R2 rated. Here it does say construction of single-family homes and minor additions. Now, who's going to determine what a minor addition is? My house I live in now is 600 square feet. I intend to add 1,400 square feet to it, which is not a minor addition to a 600 square foot house. So, that is a concern, and as others have said, well, we invested for a reason, and that reason is taken away. I can understand it, I would accept it, but I wouldn't be happy.
And again, afterwards here, I would suggest you get with Mr. Borja there. He can point you to the part of the law which provides the definition of what an extension would be. So we're, usually the first thing that comes to mind is now I want to add on a garage, or maybe I want to add on an extra bedroom or whatever. But all that is pretty much defined in the law, and so there's no guessing.
Oh, and I had a house bigger.
Yeah.
Very well, thank you very much.
All right. All right, so that's it for the Maritzo residents that have signed up. Signing up to testify is Mr. Adrian Gogui. He's with the Safe Southern Guam organization. Mr. Gogui, you're certainly welcome to step forward.
Good evening, senators. We're no strangers, so we know where I stand on our position with Safe Southern Guam. Senator Sandwood, speaking to you for the first time, so I'm glad to have this opportunity. And Mayor, thank you for allowing me to come into your village and say a few words. My name is Adrian Gogui. I'm a member of Safe Southern Guam. And how appropriate we're having the public hearings for these two bills before us as senators. As our namesake is Safe Southern Guam. This is as a result of the grassroots movement, so you get in our position. We know that there's been several bills proposed regarding land use development for Guam, specifically for the southern part. I just want to echo what the villager stated, that this is pristine country now. And we are in favor of responsible development. So when Mr. Kenyatta says, I would like to build a 4-unit structure, that's well within what Safe Southern Guam can advocate. What we're against is developers coming down to the southern part of Guam and erecting or building these facilities that are not compatible with the community, where there's the zoning law, the infrastructure for the respective village. And you can see where if we don't protect what's left of the southern part of Guam, special interest groups and big money is going to have their way with the rest of the island. Okay? As I said, you already know our position where I stand, so I'll just kind of keep it short. In the past, when spoken before the legislature. I've always recited the interphrasing pledge, and I just want to recite it again. Giri mastakilungi hinasoku, mastakilungi kurasoku, gani masfilungi ninasinahu, umufresi maisazo, para proteger a defender e himengi, e cultura, e linguagem, e aire, e hano, zanitano de somoro, estigrensu, Yenas Zeus Tata, who fit my Hulu Biblia, Zanipandarahu, Panderan Guam. Save Southern Guam. Again, we advocate responsible development. The villagers are in favor of building things that are within their right with the zoning laws. We're all for that. What we're trying to prevent is the encroachment or overdevelopment of what remains a very pristine area of the island. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gobi. And I think the Save Southern Guam organization brings up a very good point. The concern generally is that large development comes in and all these conditions are put in and everybody goes, yeah, okay, take care of that. And the place gets built, everybody moves in, and nothing else happens, especially the off-site improvements. So a good example is just yesterday the legislature passed a bill to rezone a piece of property in Barrigada. And the landowner says, yeah, we'll rezone it. What else you want? You want a road built out? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. And so all that sounded good. And then we also put a provision in there that says you can build all you want, but you're not going to get a built occupancy permit until you have actually lived up to your commitments. So that's one way I think that we can ensure some of these things. But those are very valid concerns. We don't want large development coming in to the detriment of the quality of life to the others, because now the water pressure gets lower, the lights are flickering always because the load is bigger than what the infrastructure is able to carry. But I certainly am very much in tune with what this organization is trying to do. So let me ask my colleagues if they have anything. I'm sorry, are you done?
Yeah, I was good. Okay. Yeah, so.
You're going to hear from me, and so I'll get to it.
Yeah, so I apologize. I missed the public hearing last night, but I am here tonight. So, last Saturday, the president or the chairperson of Save Southern Guam absolutely behind her presentation and her testimony yesterday. If I could, thank you, Senator, for reminding me about these large-scale developments that, for some reason, escape everyone's common sense, except for those who are here tonight to express our concerns. So, talk about the Pablo Bay Marina Resort Hotel, right? So Pablo Bay, even though it's right there on the border of central Guam, Pablo Bay is the gateway to southern Guam on the eastern border, okay? And as developers look around the southern end of Guam, they start at Pablo Bay, then they're going to look at Ely Bay, they're going to look at Talafofo, Inaraha, Moneso, Yamada, all the way out to Agate, the Serena Hotel. I just want to remind everybody that these developers, these big money special interest groups have really no ties to the local folks here, other than having a face to represent them here locally to pitch their dirty work, okay? So, for example, the Serena Hotel, they're proposing to build a 5-star hotel in Agate, but they operate out of the Bahamas. And when I did my research, the Bahamas is 8,000 miles away from Guam. Not a single tie to the island, except to make money. If you look at the Pablo Bay Marina Resort, they have ties all the way back to Shenyang, China. That's about 2,500 miles from here. Again, they're putting a local face to push their agenda here locally. So So coming back to the Palo Bay Marina Resort. So the Guam Land Use Commission approved that against everybody's objection, or would just say there was concern about that the project not being compatible with that area from the zoning law to infrastructure and all the issues that it's going to bring with it. So they issued a notice of action, and they had the application review committee agencies submit their own feedback. And every single one of them, at least from what I saw, the notice of action had conditions. So lo and behold, one of them was to do soil sampling to help determine the percolation rate for water runoff, storm drainage management, and possibly for the foundation of these monstrosity towers. So we looked at the Guam EPA permit, and we noticed that the permit had some what we would consider discrepancies or violations. So we went back to the EPA and we said, here it says the developer/driller needs to consult with the Water and Environmental Research Institute. And they also have the language in it that shall. So they worry hydraulics or geologists shall be on site to coordinate and supervise the drilling activities. Well, we asked the driller, has this been done? And they said, no, we went back to EPA. We go, your permit says that this is a shall, this is a condition, this is not an option. And you know what they did, senators? They reissued a permit and dropped that condition altogether. The reason why I'm pointing this out, if developers find their way around the southern end of Guam, and all these conditions that we spoke about, for example, like the one in Maragata, who is going to enforce these things? Are the regulatory agencies that we rely on to protect us going to back down and say, oh, we'll just remove that condition? You can see our concern here is that rather than enforce and hold these developers to their very own conditions that they put in the notice of action, they're backing away from it. And you can see why, say, Southern Guam is going to be right there para kung pertains sa defending ikultura, ihinegi ikultura, ilengguwahe ani, ihanap sa itago sumor. Because if they're not going to do it, then we're going to try to help push this thing along. Because these foreign developers have no real ties to the island other than a bottom line, and that's to make money, regardless of what the impact is to one, the community, or people. Okay, so I just wanted to close with that yes, these conditions are out there, but we're finding out that they're not being enforced. And it's taking us, the grassroots movement, to point that out to our government agencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. I'm going to go ahead and ask Senator Morrison, co-sponsor of the bill. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to co-sponsor this measure. I thank all who provided testimony this evening as well. And I appreciate what's being shared this evening. I know we're going to go through scheduled events regarding the Southern Development Master Plan, but I really want to touch upon 366 because this really would really trigger movement with the task force. And Senator Ada and I have spoken about how this is incentivized, moving it along a lot more sooner than understanding a lot of the proposals that are being tossed out there, whether it's Palo Bay or Agate. So I hope we will get your participation in the future as we go along, and thank you for supporting this measure, understanding that this ties in or complements or helps move the Southern Development Master Plan forward. Real quick, I ask all to take time to note down Public Law 19-38, because if you get familiar with that public law, you will understand how we're going to move forward with the guidelines that are in that statute that guides the master plan process. Just a few items there that we spoke about are roads, sewage, some of the things in the guidelines, water, communication, tourism, archaeological preservation, ecological protection, agriculture, and there's a list of things that will guide this process. So when we're talking about a master plan, we're talking about these items that the task force have to be focused on as they develop the master plan. The one item here they talk about here is population enhancement. And what's interesting is in 2010, the census report interestingly reported that we are seeing a massive migration shift from our southern residents to the central or southern, and I believe it's about 15 to 20% shift. And I think you can see that happening in front of us. I certainly see it in my village. Homes that were once families of generations, you now see the whole lot empty. But they're still in Guam, but they have shifted because of many other reasons. But you know, when you talk about this in population enhancement, knowing that this measure was actually put in passed into law in 1988 or 1990, I mean, they were really forward thinking about ensuring that we can keep our families and our homes in the South. And I think that ties along with opportunities, economic opportunities, in line with the sentiments of our communities, ensuring that we can grow responsibly and ensure that, you know, that our families don't have to leave our homes down here. So I look forward to working with all of you as we move forward. I thank the chairman, Mrs. Underwood, Senator Underwood, for participating and moving these hearings around the South and getting the participation of the South. This is a first go around, and I look forward to the Southern Development Master Plan to move forward. Mayor, thank you for participating in the first meeting and ensuring that the other mayors are participating in this process. It's very key to the success of the master plan, as the mayors are the lead in the development of the master plan. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Morrison. Senator Underwood?
Yes, just real quick, I just wanted to thank you because your participation has enlightened me. You have represented probably concerns that other residents, maybe 100 other residents have. And so the fact that we have the numbers here, it doesn't matter. We hear you, and we know that it is not just the concern that you have. Both there were common concerns that were shared here, Mr. Commander, and then being able to expand your residence. That's very important. But pertaining to Safe Southern Guam, that really is an example of how grassroots movement can be very effective despite how bureaucracy can be very, very stubborn. So, I commend you for your efforts and your passion about this, because there are others who share the same. We would want our community members to have jobs, and usually investors will say, this will create jobs, but at what expense? Even to those who have the jobs. So I'm grateful that you're willing to be thoughtful about it and to inform us and to make sure that you stay with the process. So that's all I have to say, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Before I close, I just want to share my driving experience down here. I live in Manilo, and from here up to the village of Inarahan, I book in at about 45, enjoying the curves and all that. And then when I got into Inarahan, in front of me, and it was like, 25 miles an hour. And after I passed in Iran, this guy was just enjoying his drive. So I turned off my radio, and that's when I realized, look at that seashore, look at that sunset, you know, and it was a very serene drive. So and it taught me to be patient. So, but I thank you very much for coming down tonight. And please, if you have any other questions, maybe not necessarily related to this, Mr. Joe Borja, my chief of staff, could probably answer your question. He's very well versed in land matters. And if you come up with another question any other time, please call my office. I'm in the phone booth. Okay. So with that then, we'll consider this public hearing to be adjourned. Thank you.